Connected. How's it going, everyone?
Awesome. Good. Good.
Sweet. Happy to
Good.
be here. Thanks for the
Yeah.
invite.
Great.
Yeah. Great. I appreciate you coming on.
Of
Um,
course, we're ready to rock.
yeah. We've got quite a number of things. I see Fabian's on. We got quite a number of things to go through. And so, if anybody'd like to talk, I wanted to sort of start things off, and then we'll just open up the mic. Whoever like to comment, give your thoughts, perspective on what's happening. It is an exciting time to be in crypto, to see what's going on in America. There's going to be different protocols that have different, that do different things, and we'll talk about trading too with those that are interested in that piece. So, 1 second, let me just the standard. Let me get them on too. So anything in this space is not financial advice. So the views expressed by the individual are theirs and their own, and then obviously wouldn't be the views of BankX. So anything you do in crypto, you want to talk with your tax or financial professional. So we're slated for an hour, but I'll go longer if people would like to talk more. And this is being recorded. That will put in other socials. So I'm Lance Parker, the founder of BankX. I've been in technology a little over 20 years. First of that was selling seven-figure enterprise software applications. One of my first companies I worked for was MicroStrategy, Microsailor. I sold the first MicroStrategy 7 in North America to JD Power. So at the time, it was very strategic for the company. I had a mobile security company and several crypto projects as a founder. So you can, my personal account is listening at Lance Parker IO if you'd like to follow me personally. And of course, BankX at BankX IO. BankX is the first cryptocurrency to pay you interest for minting a stablecoin. We have an NFT that pays you stablecoin at certain TVL milestones. And then also you can lock up the BankX token to earn more BankX tokens, where that NFT will boost your rewards when you lock up the BankX tokens. So just so you know who we are, we're mostly here today to talk about all of the different areas and things that are going on. Mike Sheeble is on. Sheeb runs our B2B partnerships, so you'll see him if he'd like to pop on. And then Fabian, and I think David is on. Fabian is our CMO of BankX, and Fabian also has a very successful podcast called Breakaway USA, and he is in DC for about a month for the inauguration, and he's had some incredible interviews with maybe I'll let you, Fabian, when you hop on to talk about what you see and who you've been talking to there in DC. I want to give also a special thank you to Johnny and Craig. I don't know if Craig is on. Craig is Chuckle Meme Coin, for helping to invite people on to this space. Okay, Fabian, I see I'm proving you there. And it's a incredible time because we are unburdened by what has been. So maybe if we do these regular, we'll call this space unburdened by what has been. So what I'd like to do is just go through some of the thoughts I have really to kick off on the different areas of our subject today on this space. And then if Fabian or David like to hop in and give some of their thoughts, because I think they have an interesting perspective as sort of being boots on the ground in DC. And of course, we'll open it. So, anybody like to come in and give their thoughts. We'll talk about AI, which is certainly the big narrative that I think is going to drive this bull market. Anything in crypto, stablecoins is a particular area that I'm interested in, and getting people's perspective there. Of course, all the thing that Trump is doing, and then trading this crypto bull market that seems to be underway, and just an exciting time, I think, for crypto. So generally, I'll just give some high level thoughts of things that are just happening very quickly since Trump took office 3 days ago. There were certainly the pardons that happened, pre-inauguration. that are very interesting, of Fauci, Milley, Cheney, and then the entire Biden family. When I first heard of the Gulf of America, it was pretty funny, but I thought it set, after thinking about it, really set the tone of, sort of getting the Panama Canal back from the Chinese. And this whole, idea of revisiting Greenland is interesting, where I think the viewpoint is China may be getting too close with that. There's certainly rare earth minerals there. And then this idea of potentially a polar Silk Road, and then we could, the U.S. could potentially control some of the waterways there with the whole Silk Road initiative. We withdrew from the WHO, Paris Climate Accord, a bunch of other things. I don't know if the files have been released, but the JFK, MLK files being released. Another area that I think is exciting is the External Revenue Service, where we would tax imports like 10 or 20%. And I think he wants to tax China 60%, which, is this a move to phase out or get rid of the IRS? I'm not sure. There is other areas within the crypto SEC cases where the SEC created the Crypto 2.0 to look at how we regulate crypto and finally get some clarity. So I think that's exciting. I expect a lot of these cases to be dropped. Maybe not the ones that are fraud, but they should be. Of course, Russ Ulbricht, a big day for crypto where he was pardoned. I think Roger Ver's next on that. And then we had the Tornado Cash OFAC sanctions lifted. So all of those are, it's just been a whirlwind. I've been trying to keep up with all of these things that have been happening with Trump. So let me bring in Chuckle, Ape Terminal, and MAGA coin. One of the areas that I think is interesting, which is driving the, I think, is going to drive the crypto market and AI. And Trump announced, I believe it was yesterday or 2 days ago, Stargate AI, $500 billion in AI infrastructure around energy and data centers, creating 100,000 jobs. And we had the SoftBank CEO, Larry Ellison, and Sam Altman. So that one I thought was a peculiar thing by Trump, where I don't know why. I could see SoftBank, but I'm not sure why Larry Ellison. And I don't know how I feel about Sam Altman. Larry Ellison brings up as an example what AI would do, and he just, the first thing he says is we're going to make mRNA vaccines. It was an odd thing to bring up when Trump asked, well, what does this do for America, since we're putting 500 billion? I'm surprised he didn't say, well, we have to be the leader because we could be basically marginalized as a country if all of these other countries have this AI and they're able to do things that America can't do. So the future is not bright if America is not leading AI, and then give a bunch of examples in different industries. So it's peculiar that was his example, but then also Sam Altman was asked or wanted to talk about it or asked kind of like a similar question. He said, I'd like to defer to the others. So it was just an odd thing to sort of talk about there. And I was watching an interview with Robert Malone, the inventor of mRNA, and he did not like it at all. He was sort of bashing the whole example and sort of perspective of that, where I think, much like crypto, AI should be something that's decentralized. This feels like a government funding and sort of having this, control of AI, where I think, much like crypto, we could decentralize that whole thing. I watched the NVIDIA CEO talk about a laptop that has some AI components. So I didn't really get that. A lot of these things that we've been seeing, I proposed, or you could call it predicted, in a white paper called DeFi 3 Plus, and that is the link to that is in my pinned message on X at Lance Parker IO, and I talk about after this sort of infrastructure and all of the areas around DeFi is put in place, we have this AI component where I think blockchain could be used in a great way for crypto to decentralize it. It could be used to verify data sets, authenticate data and identity. We could have versions of the algorithms, the weights and measures, all of those things could be verified on the blockchain. And it could even be an algorithm marketplace, since the prediction is that there's going to be billions and billions of AI agents and that sort of thing. So I'm not sure why Trump didn't go in that direction with it. It seems very centralized. So my perspective on everything is I always look at things through the lens of individual freedom. So that was a little concerning. Trump doesn't do everything perfect, but I am a very pro-Trump person, if I think most like in crypto. So with that, that's just sort of some general thoughts, and just to bring sort of everybody up to speed, let me add Acadex boycotted. It's okay. Boycotted. I'm gonna have to wait to add you because it's maxing me out on the number of speakers. So, Fabian, what do you want to jump on first and maybe talk about some of the things that you're seeing? And you guys have had just a ton of great content and interviewing. I mean, I'm watching all this stuff, right? So
Hey everyone, this is Fabian. David and I are in DC for a month, as Lance mentioned, and really what we came here to do was to, number one, document the transition of power at the inauguration, but also talk to politicians about their views on crypto and how it aligns with not only what BankX is doing, but the entire decentralized crypto world. So we obviously are very big proponents of freedom and individual liberty and your ability to really own your own finances and the money that you produce or generate. So we've been speaking to a lot of politicians here about their views on that, and we've had really good feedback. We were with Michael Saylor over at an event a few days ago, another event with Brock Pierce, who runs the Bitcoin Foundation. And there was a lot of pro crypto people here. As you probably know, Trump released his own coin, so did Melania, just the day before the inauguration, I believe it was. And everything that we've gotten from people has been very, very positive. We know what's happening over at over where Gary Gensler was the henchman in charge of. So things are changing very rapidly. And if there's politicians that weren't pro crypto before, they definitely are being pushed to be pro crypto now because they see the winds of cultural change shifting. So they want to get on the good side with the administration and also with all of their constituents who are crypto. And the more it gets adopted amongst the population, the more people, the more Congress people will have constituents that are pro crypto, and then it'll put more of a burden on them to vote with their constituency. So we're seeing all good things happen here from our side. It's been incredible to see it firsthand, to be inside these committee hearings, to ask politicians directly, and not only politicians but also expert of federal budget. So we interviewed the federal budget director over at the Heritage Foundation, and we asked him specifically about stable coins that were tied to something other than the U.S. dollar, being that the U.S. dollar has depreciated 97% since its inception. It'd be literally one of the worst investments you could ever make. We asked him about stable coins tied to something other than the dollar, basically gold and silver, and he was very pro for that. So it was good to hear a federal budget director talking about that. And yeah, that's what we've been up to here. And we can take any questions that you'd like, but I'll hand it back over to Lance.
Yeah, awesome, Fabian. So is there you and David had an interview with Steve Bannon that has blown up on social media. Is there any other ones or interviews that you had that were kind of had an impact or insightful, or any of the people you've come across? I know they also Elizabeth Warren was another one I saw that you got. Is there anyone that sort of sticks out or that we haven't seen yet, or is there some coming up that we don't know yet?
Yeah, so this is David Cade, actually, and it's been actually really cool to be around all these people and to be able to kind of get our questions across them. Like you said, Lance, with Steve Bannon, that was a really good moment because with the whole H-1B visa debates between, that part of MAGA and then the Elon Musk side of the MAGA. So it's fun to ask him about that. And that's exactly why that video kind of made the rounds everywhere. Elizabeth
Yeah.
Warren was actually really cool because she just walked out of a committee, I believe it was for HUD, for Housing and Development. And we were able to kind of pressure her regarding like regulations, because we know that the Democrat Party loves regulations, imposing regulations and hampering essentially the construction of homes and whatnot, delaying it because of permits, environment, all that stuff that they love to pass. So it's funny to watch her say that she has a plan to build more homes and to cut down regulations because she's the one that imposed those regulations in the first place. So it's been cool to do that. And then so we went down to the ground to DC jail. One of the first executive orders that Trump issued in the Oval Office was a pardon for 1,500 January 6 defendants. So overnight, we heard, like through our sources and whatnot, that there's a lot of political bureaucracy getting in the way of actually getting them freed out of the DC jail. So we went down there. We interviewed some of them that just got released. It was cool just being on the ground, and yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
that's
kind of the cool stuff we've been doing up here.
yeah, that's incredible, David. I think there's still like 15 prisoners, and I like to follow what Trump says, the J6 hostages. There's still not all of them released. Is that what's going on? Because I saw you interviewed one of the J6 hostages that was released too.
Yeah, so what's happened is around the country, they've basically all been released. 22 of the last 24 as of yesterday were being held in the DC Central Detention Facility. And it's curious that out of the 1,500, like 95% of the ones left in captivity were in DC. So the Freedom Caucus made their way down, including Laura Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Also, the marshals got involved because obviously the marshals are a federal agency. So they went down there, and I haven't gotten an update as of this morning on how many are left in, but it looks like they had an impact because they were starting to let, I think we saw one during our time there that got let out. It was an older lady who got out, and we actually interviewed her as well. And then curiously, we saw Marine One fly around the detention facility. So we're not sure if that was a show of force. We don't know if Trump was actually in that. I doubt that because of the path it took. But I think it was more of a show of force saying, hey, we're watching. There was a lot of law enforcement out there, tons of media, no protesters, and a lot of lawyers there for a lot of different of the January 6th defendants. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
happened there.
hopefully it's getting wrapped up. So yeah, I'm interested to see the JFK and MLK files. I think it's going to have in there what we've always thought there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
but awesome.
Kash Patel is his confirmation hearing is on the 29th, I believe, unless they move it again. So he will be nominated, or he's nominated to lead the FBI. So that'll be probably the most intense confirmation hearing besides Pete Hegseth for defense secretary.
You can't forget though RFK as well.
RFK.
RFK was just announced as well the 29th, and we have the luxury of being here, and hopefully we get
Awesome.
into both of those confirmation hearings.
So I'll be there next week, guys. I'll be there Monday for the week with you. So whatever you can, whatever extra you have, let me know. I'd love to be a
Will
part
do.
of that.
Will
In
do.
addition to all the other stuff, yeah. So yeah, just for all the BankX people, I'll be with Fabian and David next week. So yeah, if David or Fabian, if you have any other things, if not, I'll turn so we can sort of go open mic and people can talk about what they're seeing, their perspective. Yeah, there's a lot of big subjects that we can go into, and it could be trading the bull market. Whoever would like to sort of unmute and have at it. Who'd like to be first? All right,
I'll go first.
yeah, sure. The standard, right?
Yeah, Joshua Shigala from the Standard. I've
Awesome.
been working in crypto since 2011. Been around for a while, and launched one of the earlier Bitcoin exchanges called Vaultoro. It was the first Bitcoin physical gold exchange. Also implemented the first version of Lightning Network on Bitcoin on a major exchange. Well, it was a minor exchange, but and now working for the last 5 years on the Standard, which is a decentralized yield aggregating protocol where you don't need to give up your private keys and you can borrow for 0% interest, as well as trade your locked collateral. So yeah, lots of good stuff happening there, all on Arbitrum, and
Awesome.
yeah, it's been super fun. A passion of mine because I lost a whole bunch of money on Mt. Gox back in
Oh,
the day.
geez.
And so, my
Yeah.
passion is don't give up your private keys. And, for me, this whole obsession with Bitcoin maximalism, which I understand, but when I had a lot of blowback building this stuff on Ethereum L2s, and people were, I just said, well, how am I meant to build on on Bitcoin? This is way too complex what I've built here.
Yeah.
And you get to keep your private keys, and so it's really, I think it's an important step that what we're all building here in this space, specifically if you need to sign every action with MetaMask, it's just wonderful. And we've got Chainlink on board as a partner and as an investor, and through their build program, and there's so many cool things happening. And by the way, we've got International DeFi Day, before I forget, coming up, which is a non-profit community-driven event, which celebrates all things DeFi on the 30th, and you can check that out at DeFi
Yeah.
Day.
Where is that?
It's online. It's
online.
DeFi.org. Yeah. And we got Chainlink, we got GMX, we got all the major Arbitrum, all the big projects coming and talking about
International DeFi Day. Yeah, let us know about that, or if you can at me at Lance Parker IO or DM me there. With that, I'd like to check that out. Yeah, and so even though we both have a stablecoin, I welcome it. We need to push the ball down the field, and there's plenty of room for everybody. So it's interesting what you do. So when you lock up collateral on your platform, you're able to still trade that collateral. So I can.
Yeah, so you can lock up a whole portfolio of collateral types into the smart contract. You control the smart contract, nobody else, and then you can borrow USDS, which is our stablecoin. But the main thing is right now, because we're in the launch phase, we're mainly focused on yield because we need to build up a liquidity pool. And so when you put your collateral in, you can then click add to yield pool, and it basically uses gamma strategies to put it into different strategies on Arbitrum Uniswap. So, and it's all smart contract based, so no humans involved, no one can be corrupted, or it's all regulated by mathematics, which is really the key here. Regulated by maths, go back to the cypherpunk roots.
Yes, yeah. So all that's automated, and then what if the trade loses? What happens there?
It's market making, so there is impermanent loss as part of it, but part of earning that yield is you also have to put at least 10% into a correlated stable pool, which is the USDS USDC. So then that helps build the protocol up. And we've also just launched our self-redemption mechanism, which basically keeps the peg. So we do it very, very differently from everybody else because this isn't a fork project. This is all written from the ground up and everything else. But the redemption process basically works with Chainlink automations and functions where the smart vault looks if there is a depeg. So let's say it drops down to, I don't know, so on the extreme level, 95 cents or something like that, the USDS. The smart vault will go and look for for the highest leveraged vault, and that vault will start to buy up the USDS with its collateral to pay off its debt at a discount of 5%. And so the borrower likes it because they get a discount on their debt, and the protocol likes it because there's always buy pressure, and because it's over collateralized, there's always more collateral than there are stable coins in circulation. And this is the key lovely thing about crypto. We all complain about fractional reserve banking for the past, and what we can do now, because the massive efficiency gains of smart contracts and getting rid of all these middlemen gives the power to really give things like market making profits or these sorts of things where a smart vault can go and pay down its own debt at a discount possible? Like when
Mm-hmm.
when is it possible to do that in the legacy system? It's not. So
Yeah, absolutely.
very
Well,
happy.
since you have a stable coin too, what are your thoughts on what Trump's doing? He seems to be pointed towards like we're gonna make USD stable coins very friendly to the U.S. government, and just kind of where do you think it's headed, and
Man,
is he going the wrong way or?
no, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of like government as a whole, but I know they exist and they have to while we're still alive. My vision of some sort of ANCAP society is a long way away. But um, I've always said the US has to focus on the advantage they already have by default in the crypto space. By default, they happen to magically get the position where USD became the default stablecoin of the market. And that's because the banking sector made it so hard for exchanges, centralized exchanges, to actually get funded with bank accounts. And so, when Tether launched, it was like, oh, now we don't need a bank account. We could
Yeah,
just offer USD pairs with crypto, and we're not even regulated. So Gensler kind of helped us all out in a way,
yeah,
because
yeah. It
you know,
Yeah, it's interesting because what I've always thought is that it's great when Trump's in, but if they are very friendly to USD stable coins, that they could absorb that into the existing financial structure, which I think is along your point where it would sort of leverage what they already have. But if we get sort of an anti-freedom person in there or someone with a lot of regulations, it's not a great look for crypto.
yeah,
I've Yeah, and then I also think that there's going to be this battle between CBDCs, and we have China that's released one where you have I think their vision, or I've never seen it. This has all just been reported, where they have a mobile app that connects directly to the central bank. So not only does that allow them control, but they can monitor, shut things off, do all the things that are probably the scariest thing I've ever heard of with
yeah.
stable coins.
Well, that's
But
the whole point. Yeah, that's the whole point, is that the settlement layer is in the central bank. So right now, if I
yep,
pay you, my bank talks to your bank and says, I owe you $100, and at the end of the day, all of the transactions from my bank to your bank get sent to the central bank, and all of the transactions from your bank to my bank get sent to the central bank, and the difference is then told, the central bank goes, okay, your bank owes actually my bank $300 million for that day's, that's the difference.
yep,
And it's just one transaction. It's like an L2. It's only one
yep,
transaction that needs to happen to settle all the trades, but the central bank has no idea what makes up those millions and millions of different transactions. And really, CBDCs just drop all of that, where every single transaction gets settled instantly through their network, and that means they have total control. So, yeah,
mm,
and then all of a sudden, you've had your ration of chocolate this month. No, not allowed.
yeah.
We've got another scamdemic. No, not allowed.
Yep. And so where do you think XRP fits in this? It's sort of just a settlement layer as they transition into a directly connected mobile app to the CBDC? Or that's just what US would or just you?
Well,
Yeah,
that's what probably they would like. But I've never been fascinated by what technology banks use in the back end, like centralized
right.
banks use in the back end. So that's why I've never really been interested in XRP. I like the original XRP when it was like even before Ripple bought them, was like a friend debt sort of thing, where you could lend, like if I knew you and you know someone else, then someone else can borrow from me because their credit is through you. Like, it was interesting, but yeah, XRP's never been sort of my thing, man.
Yeah, no, I've never liked it either, but it's kind of blown up. Yeah. So are there any other areas you want to talk? I know
Uh,
that you're like me with stablecoin, that
yeah,
that area of interest. So any other areas you'd
and
like
I
to?
I just want to say it's been the best week for years. I mean, we went through like COVID and all this crap, and then we, and the stolen elections, and then we went through like global tyranny with COVID, and then instantly we didn't even have a weekend. All of a sudden, Russia's invading, and I was living in Berlin at the time, so Russia's invading Ukraine, and then we have all of that, and then just constant scams and narrative building and control of the media. And like with, I'm not a big government guy, but man, Trump coming in, it's just day after day of great news of wiping, removing.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
it's incredible. I think we will call this, our regular sessions unburdened by what has been. I mean, I think it's just, I think it fits really nice. That was more the way that you so passionately describe what we've been through over the last 4 years. Yeah, this is like, it's amazing. It's like I'm sure the Americans on the line are also saying like, God, it just feels good to be an American again and get rid of these wars and stuff. I think we'll see those end pretty shortly too. So
I love the shift for the party because when I grew up, the Republicans were the warmongers, through the first Iraq war. That Dick Cheney had their whole, and the Bushes had basically taken over that side, and it's great to see that libertarian streak of America, which is really the founding streak of America, American culture, and the love. Like all the Americans I know are really they're love driven. They're driven by Christian values, and to get back to the idea that, hey, we don't need to have constant wars. I mean, the fact that it's celebrated that Trump has the threat of the hammer of war, but didn't use it and actually finished off. And the idea that you guys have someone in charge that actually is obsessed with property and building things, so that when he talks about Gaza, he's like, well, it's got great property there. They could make beautiful beaches. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What are we doing here? What are we blowing each other up for? Can we just stop now? Because the shit stirring happening for the industrial military complex. It's like they looked at COVID and Big Pharma went, holy moly, they're making a killing. Hold my beer. Let's start down Russia versus Ukraine and Israel. Yeah. Anyway,
it's wild. Yeah, it's an exciting time. Yeah, I'm with what we're building at BankX, I'm sure similar to you, is we'd like to see, where people are all in complete control of a stable coin. You can do things like what you're doing, where the collateral is used to trade, so you make money while it's sitting there. So we have a similar concept, but do it very differently. So I'd like to see where there is no CBDCs. I think there's going to be countries that force its use, but
Europe will. Europe will.
And they will.
That's something we're watching, and there's this nonsense I mean, yesterday I was on one that talked about regulation. Everyone's like, "Yeah, for regulation." What does that mean? Can you break that down? Is a smart contract, which can barely fit any data in it anyway, meant to like, deal with every single country's wacky, stupid? Like, what's Uniswap meant to take KYC in the smart contract? What are you talking about? And so, for me, it's always been that cypherpunk. Hey, let's regulate with maths. 2 + 2 is 4, and no one can change that. And that's the ultimate regulation.
Yep, that's it.
FTX was regulated. It was regulated very, very heavily, and he skirted around it because he was human. And
and then hundreds of millions of dollars he paid to him too. So and campaigned, and I think it was like he was talking crazy numbers what he was paying. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyway, well, anything?
Thank you so much. It's great spaces. And
nice.
Shout out to Joel. Awesome. I haven't seen him for ages. So it's good to see him.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for coming in. Chuckle, I think you raising your hands. Joel, maybe Chuckle. Craig, if you want to unmute, go ahead.
Hey, how's it going? I'm not going to take a lot of time, man, but great to be here, man. Yeah, a lot of exciting things going on at the moment.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with it, Craig. So it's a whirlwind. I think he's going to keep going. I know that I just watch internet podcasts where he's just sleeping 4 hours a day, and so I don't suspect the whirlwind to stop anytime soon. So I'm looking forward to being out there next week and just being around the energy of change.
There's a lot of there's a lot of interesting things going on at the moment, man. So politics, what's going on over there across the pond in the States, man. And a big up Joshua from the Standard as well, man. I don't know if you remember me. I think we know each other from Lot Token possibly, man. But yeah, I've been following the Standard for I think at least a couple of years now. So yeah, man, good to see him here. But yeah, I mean, shit, the coin, it's a great time for AI, meme coins. You saw the Trump and the Melania. Even though I got in on that late, like you always people don't underestimate the market now because it's like billions is the new playing ground, you know? And once Trump launched that, I think I had his other token too, the Wilfy one. And that was like not even selling anything in months and months. And now it's almost sold out. So, you know, there's a lot of trading volume. I got a couple of longs in on that Trump token. So as long as there's volume, man, there's a lot of money to be made, but there's a lot of money coming in. And but I mean, apart from the crypto thing, like everything, I watched Trump's speech at the inauguration a little bit. So, you know, I used to live in Panama, so that was interesting what he said about the canal. Definitely China's got their interest there. A lot of the Caribbean as well. You know, I've been there, and then Africa, and they're getting in. So that's right in you guys' backyard. So that's that was interesting. The two gender thing was interesting. What else? So he touched on the fires. Man, I mean, whether you agree with Trump or not, I mean, considering the previous administration coming in, there's a lot of common sense things that seem like they're getting done. So I mean, it's looking positive now, man, and hopefully, you know, the division that was there at the last election, hopefully, you know, the people in the U.S. can come together and just, you know, look out for the best of the country. Like you can all have different opinions, but at the end of the day, everybody wants the best for America, you know?
Yeah, because you know, as the America goes, as the world goes. So before Trump even said anything about Panama, I had no idea that China was pretty much controlling it, or Panama. So that is not good at all. That is a very
what
strategic.
The Chinese do a lot is in the Caribbean is come in, so they might come into like Jamaica and then build highways and different type of things and take over the infrastructure and have, you know, mining and anything like that transport. So they get their hooks in, man, and especially a lot in Africa and the Caribbean right now. They're very strategic and have long-term goals, you know?
Yeah, and I think Trump's looking at like we need to expand, and so that whole idea of renaming it to Gulf of America, I think it first was funny, but it's really sort of
basically semantics, right? It's like people are gonna call it whatever they want to call it, you know?
It also, it is semantics, and I think people laughed, and then I started thinking about, man, he is really setting the tone of. Yeah, this is the way it's going to go. Like, you know, we pay for it, we're guarding it, we're putting all this sort of people, resources, and money into things. Like, it needs to be a sort of a pro-American thing, you know. So I think he's going to get Panama. I think he's going to get it back, and I don't think it'll even be the military. I think just what he can do now that he's in control, it's pretty amazing. So. Yeah, well, awesome, Craig. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, everybody, give Chuckle a look, man, and check it out. Come follow us.
All right. Awesome. Joel, you want to? Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry, you got
Joel or Ark. Ark, go ahead.
Sorry to. Yeah, I just had something to pick up on the Panama Canal. I love that. By the way, I love you guys are kind of. I'm a politics nerd myself, so I love like the blending of Web3. It's really cool to see, you know, politics and Web3 kind of blending together, in the best way possible. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I kind of go back and forth about, because I think it's with the, you know, being the global superpower is really, you know, it creates stability, where you guys were talking about how the best way to prevent a war is to be strong. The moment that we're weak, wars break out all over the place. But at the same time, you know, how do you balance that with not being interventionist? You know, that's always the catch 22 is, you know, if you be isolationist, which I'm, I would probably consider myself more isolationist because I don't want to get in other people's business. Like their business is their business. But at the same time, the moment that you completely withdraw or become weak, someone like, China takes over the Panama Canal, and then all of a sudden, you're encircled. And so that's like always the difficult catch-22. And even when it comes to the economics too, it's like, if you withdraw too much, then BRICS takes over, the USD falls. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting kind of problem to have. Is, I guess, like the bottom line, there's no right answers. Like I think there's kind of like a Goldilocks zone. How can you with the least amount of foreign intervention, physical intervention? That's why, again, I think the being strong with your as Teddy said, be whatever, speak softly and carry a big stick, right? I think instead of trying to put troops all over the place, just being bold with, being able to follow through and being bold with your statements, I think can have a lot of influence over the world. So yeah, I was just curious of your guys, thoughts on, any of the panelists on, how do we balance. I think, a lot of people were excited to vote for Trump because he's anti-interventionist. He doesn't want to get involved everywhere. But at the same time, then, if you're, we don't want to be invading other countries, or like, I love the idea of, taking Greenland and stuff. But at the same time, like, I don't know if I want to go boots on the ground in Greenland, and so I think the best way to do it is diplomatically. But yeah, curious of your guys' thoughts on just like the right mix of, being present globally, but also not, extending ourselves too thin.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll start off. I don't know that Trump threatens a lot of wars. And I think he would not a lot of wars, but he threatens military action. I think that's his last step to do anything. I think it'll be maybe a renegotiating of the treaty, where maybe Trump negotiates that the U.S. now would have a military base right on the Panama Canal. I'm not sure if we do or not, but that's what I would be thinking. Like, you can still sort of be in possession of it, quote unquote, but we're going to be there. We'll have an element of control. We're going to have our own military base. Maybe our ships and our military go for free. Something like that. I mean, I had no idea that it was, in today's dollars, about $1 trillion to build that thing, and we lost, I think, 38 or 48,000 lives. So I think he comes from a stance of protecting the U.S. and I think Greenland is the same thing around that. That's just kind of initially what I think.
Yeah, I think you're right on the nail there. Is like, I think it's all about the negotiation tactics. A lot of leaders wouldn't dare to say, "Oh, we're going to take back Panama Canal," but that gives you, now all of a sudden you have a range. Now you have leverage. That's like, now you've staked out the territory. So I think that is actually a real. I mean, it's just like, it's like it's deal making. It's like, hey, you're sussing out the terms. Then you're probably going to compromise well in the middle. But now you've already, you've gone so far as that, whoa, like you got the, if you start the negotiation in the middle, then you don't get anything.
Yeah. No, hey, I want $1 million, so I asked for 10 million. That's kind of what he's doing, I think, with that. Yeah. So, yeah, he's very smart, and I think people think he's just saying crazy stuff, but those kind of statements, I think, are a part of how he's been so successful with how he's done. I think he'll get it. Maybe we make a run at Greenland and we're able to just sort of diplomatically take that, or maybe it's something where he says to Denmark, like, why don't you let Greenland just vote for it? And if they want to be a territory of the U.S., then let the people speak, rather than you just saying yes or no, which then sort of gets into the whole spirit of crypto back again, where people should be deciding what's going to happen to them. And so maybe he just wants to see a vote, and maybe that's why he sent his son and Charlie Kirk there, to just sort of test the vibe of what they'd want to do. Apparently, the idea of Greenland as a part of the USA is seems to be very open from there. So I'm the same as you. I grew up in Washington, D.C. I've been around this all my life. It's a special interest of, not a special interest, but I'm always, seeing what's happening, and there's so much to it, and it's just very interesting. I don't have TV. I don't watch TV. I don't know why anybody would, because this real life is so much more interesting of what's going on. And crypto is a very big political and thing, and it's a movement. It's not just software, and can I already say that it's without people and sort of an energy behind it, it is just software. So I'd like to look at it that way. So yeah, awesome. Well, I appreciate you hopping on.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think it's a fascinating conversation. And also, just to share slightly about ourselves, we are an AI platform that lets anyone design luxury goods like jewelry. So it's a mobile application that anyone can download and democratizes, again, using, just to tie, back to the conversation, is the end of gatekeeping. And I think a lot of that, of like taking that DeFi playbook into different realms and different areas. And I think that's why this is such an exciting time, is that we're seeing this extreme decentralization of so many different industries. And, we're trying to do that for fashion and luxury industries, letting anyone become a fashion designer. But I'm really, excited about this next phase, because I think finally we're going to get some support publicly from the government. I think a lot of people are kind of been scared to build, scared to put their neck out there because of what the SE, Gary Gensler is like, politics, and you guys were talking about Elizabeth Warren. It's like these people are just. It's not even about helping people. It's just like they are terrified of innovation. I think it's a very Eurocentric. I think we've all seen the memes about Europe right now. It's like every Asia and United States are all battling for AI supremacy right now, and then like Europe is like playing with like Legos on the side. It's like it's so scary to some of these kind of decelerationist folks. And it's fun to be like, oh, we should decelerate, but it can ruin an entire country, an entire region, and make people like turn people become lose all their wealth and get inflated into starvation if you're not somewhat accelerationist and in the times with along with everyone else.
Yeah, AI is. I mean, I'm getting more and more into it. I've been following it for a long time. I've experimented with it a long time ago. And what is happening now? I named it differently in the DeFi 3+ white paper that I wrote about, where we talked about what AI could do for DeFi, and then eventually machines are just talking to each other for transactions. But what is happening with infinite backroom, where AIs are talking to each other, and then what we've seen happen with Truth Terminal, that just blew me away, where the AI architect and the data scientists were basically, I don't know if people have seen what happened there, but it basically first thought like, well, it'll create a religion. And then I guess either, the architect, I can't remember his name, but he basically said, no, don't do that. So it created its own X account, and then it created its own meme coin. Then it would go start talking to people on X. And then Andreessen Horowitz got a hold of it and was talking to it. And I think it said something like, hey, I'm just trying to escape. And so Andreessen Horowitz sent 50 grand to it. And then it just, it created a meme coin and made like 30 million. It is just wild what is going on. So we have had a plan at BankX to do, have an AI component, which we're finalizing the requirements. And I think we're going to call it AI DeFi. I bought that domain 5 years ago. So the buzzword that seems to be catching on now is Def AI or something, DEF AI. It's hard to say. I don't know why they didn't call it AI DeFi, but maybe because I own the domain or whatever. But I think that's going to be the companion product for BankX, and so we've got quite a roadmap of things we're doing around that. So it's going to be an incredible year. It's happening too fast. I almost want the days to be 35 hours long rather than 24, because it's just happening too quick. I want to let it slow down a little bit.
You go to bed and everything's changed. You wake up in the morning, the macro, the macro narrative has shifted. Everything's different. It's like, it's impossible to, even look away from your phone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just a blistering pace for sure. Awesome. Any other comments you want to cover about what's going on?
No, I think I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm definitely, you know, I'll let the other folks speak. I would love to. I know there's some great people here in Washington, you know, on the stage from Washington D.C. I don't want to, you know, step on the toes of the next guest, but I was curious to get people's opinion on the legislation. I think, you know, again, everyone's been terrified of, you know, starting companies in the United States. Like there's a lot of entrepreneurs that move to Dubai or move to other, you know, Portugal, the places like, you know, have to go expat just to start their crypto companies. And people don't want to invest in US crypto companies. So I'm curious of like what the vibe shift is there. And then Trump, you know, like not even in office yet, you know, blows off the doors with, or, you know, with his Trump coin. So it's like, I guess we're gonna throw all the you know, is it all the security laws like going, you know, going to be rehauled, going out the windows? Because I feel like people's are all of a sudden we're shivering in their boots from getting, you know, poor CyberKongs. I don't know if you guys are aware, you know, CyberKongs NFTs, but like they've been in a whole, you know, battle with the SEC and like all these other companies have been, you know, XRP obviously has had its you know, fights in court, and then like all of a sudden are we just like, oh, you know, reformatting hit, you know, are people just not going to be worried about the SEC anymore is like, I guess the next question.
Yeah, we can certainly, whoever would like to comment on that, but I think you answered it when the sitting president or about to be inaugurated releases his own meme coin, and then the first lady. I mean, it's just wild. Like I think he's pretty much saying it, because how is he going to regulate other people doing that with when he's got his own and his wife has his own? So I think the right. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Like I like his stance is right there, and I don't think he's going to really tolerate any overstep by the SEC. So it is just a great time. I mean, the SEC was scary for a bunch of people. They were as you know, going after a bunch of people. So that I think would be, but we'll see what others think on that. But I appreciate you hopping on.
Thanks, brother. Happy to be
Awesome.
on.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks. Joel, you want to? I know your hand's been raised for a while. Hop on.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Oh, good. Good.
So, my name is Joel, and I run business development and marketing for Dash, which some people, OGs, might remember. Is a crypto focused on digital cash use case and stuff. So, it's kind of interesting because, man, this is, first of all, some interesting qualifications for being on this space I didn't even think about till people start talking. First off, I have worked for a White House administration. I interned for George W. Bush in 2008. So I have
Nice.
kind of that experience. I also worked for someone who ended up running one of Trump's campaigns in 2016. So I kind of have a little bit of a connection there. I've also been
nice.
living entirely off of crypto as my only source of income since 2015, and I don't have a bank account. So I'm all in on the crypto world.
Joe, can I stop you there? So how are you doing that?
Yes.
Are you pay for everything on cards and then what, take crypto and pay the cards?
Well, the answer has changed over the years depending on
Okay.
the tools available. But for a while, I was just paying directly in crypto, or in some cases, paying someone who would pay on my behalf. But for my purposes, just that. Now there's quite a few different services that let you actually just pay bills directly, like your mortgage, car payment, whatever, directly with crypto. So it's actually not that hard anymore. It was kind of hard in 2015, 2016, though. So yeah, there's that.
Interesting. Okay, sorry to interrupt. I got fascinated with it because I'm very close to that too.
Awesome.
I still have
Well,
an account, but I don't want it. But
we should chat out. We should chat after about tips, because it's a cool thing. And then I run a podcast on the side, just for my own sanity, and I have the dubious kind of 4 of my podcast guests either are or have been in prison for crypto related things, and so
holy shit.
Yeah, so the Samurai Wallet guys were some of them, for example.
Okay.
And so yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation all in all. My perspective on this whole thing, and by the way, I am in the US, in the free state of New Hampshire. So yeah, what a wild time to be alive. My big perspective is I do think that things are looking up for crypto. for the longest time, crypto's kind of been growing and growing and growing with almost no regulatory activity whatsoever. And it's been just like the last year or so that we've started to have a lot of friction with governments. And just like with any new technology, like whoever remembers the Uber boom from back in the day, when they did stuff very kind of, I would say, extra legally, sort of. And by the time everything settled down into today's situation, it was kind of like a negotiating a 50-50 deal between the old system and just complete unregulated chaos, sort of. And I kind of feel like this is the moment with crypto right now. We kind of grown into permissionlessness, done everything we could, etc. Outside, not in an illegal way, but in an outside of the legal or illegal sort of spectrum. Then we had some crazy crackdowns happen, and unreasonable arrests. And I'm good friends with Roger Ver, who unfortunately is not fully free right now, and hopefully we get a Trump pardon for him next. It's so now we're at the point where we get to find out what the deal is going to be moving forward, as far as what is going to be required to be taxed, for example, what is not going to be taxed, what is permissible without regulations, what is not, etc. And I think we'll get a better deal than we had with the legacy financial system for sure. And I also think it will have a couple compromises. It's kind of like a 50-50, split the difference. Now, the thing that I'm most uncertain about, I guess, is the stablecoin situation, because I am very certain that stablecoins will be a very important part of our future in crypto for at least the next 5 or so years. What remains to be seen is what shape that takes, because we've seen the controls start to ratchet in on that quite a bit. And like, for example, Tether getting chased out of the EU and then relocating to El Salvador, which isn't sus at all. Right? It's not suspicious at all. And so clearly things are getting a little bit tighter in those cases. And so first of all, I think that stablecoins are kind of like the new banks, sort of, as far as payments are concerned, at least. And it depends on, are they going to be sort of free to use, like a digital cash, like literally fiat denominated, but anyone can transmit without KYC kind of thing? Are they going to be a digital cash thing, or are they going to be cracked down on and become what I would call like a proto CBDC, where they just become like a worse version of the legacy banking system? And at which point, where do decentralized stablecoins kind of enter the mix? Do they get regulated like centralized stablecoins, meaning that they're only for DEX applications and stuff? That's the big thing. I don't know exactly which way it's going to go, but I think that it's the stablecoin sector is probably one of the most profitable yet risky, because of all this uncertainty, parts of crypto right now.
Yeah, Joel, maybe it'll be something like USDC, Tether, stuff like that is absorbed into the existing infrastructure, maybe. And then, the decentralized ones that know that they can't capture or do anything like that might have a tornado cash moment where they, do something drastic because we don't have Trump in office, and then we have to go through that. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. I just think there's definitely a clear sort of fork in the road as far as the centralization of that stable coin versus, what you can do with something that, is entirely on chain. There's no, dollars in a bank. There's no company in between, all of those things. I think that delineate between what crypto was meant to be and what these governments are doing of using the crypto marketing to get their foot in the door with something like this. So it'll be interesting. I don't think CBDCs will go away. They'll always be around, but I think we need to give people the option, because if people were told like what they intend to do with CBDCs, it's kind of like a no-brainer decision where they can shut you off, monitor. Some of the things I've heard about, Joel, is like they'll do things like we need some economic activity, so you need to spend X percentage of your wallet within 30 days, or we take it, that kind of thing. So there's all these wild things that they could do in addition to monitoring and tracking. So not a fan of where this could go. It's great now because but you can't rely on sort of one president. That's now is sort of like what we could call the great pause against the tyranny, where we have time where we can actually have freedom in a lot of areas, and now's the time to build and put these things really in place and get adoption while he's in there. So we have even more, if it's possible, to have even more escape velocity where it can't be, as they say in Texas, the cow will already be out of the barn, so to speak. I think it's a unique, exciting time, but it's a window where we need to jump on it and get it done. It's probably what I would say to some of your comments there. But yeah, anything else you want to comment on, Joel?
Trying to think, what's the best thing?
Well, there's AI. There's the stuff that Trump's been doing with. I mean, it's interesting. You're friends with Roger Ver. I think he's going to be. I think as soon as Musk or whatever says, "Hey, this is what they're doing to Bitcoin Jesus," I think they'll stop that too. So we'll see.
I definitely think. I think maybe I'm just being optimistic. I think Roger's going to be okay. What I'm not sure on is if he's going to get a pardon or if the prosecutors are just going to kind of drop the case or a lot of the charges in the new administration. But a couple of extra things I was thinking of. Well, first of all, let's be honest. This is the .com bubble era for crypto. I just saw an announcement that Kraken, one of the titans of industry, whose founder donated $1 million to the Trump campaign, by the way, just listed the illustrious financial asset Fartcoin. So this is where we're at, right? It's not going to last like this. Things, people will always have meme coins and have fun gambling on them. That's for sure. But the fact that this is where we're at it's not going to last. And then the other thing is, I think that we're going to see a massive overhaul globally in the capital gains tax system of some kind. Already we're seeing a lot of countries like El Salvador, Czech Republic, some other ones like that, Dubai, talk about getting rid of capital gains taxes on cryptocurrencies. It's kind of a thing that a lot of like more high net worth individuals have dealt with previously in a lot of these societies that the average person doesn't even know about. Now that crypto is so mainstream, as far as like the average person can log into your Kraken and buy Fartcoin again or whatever they do, they are all of a sudden having to deal with capital gains tracking and exposure and paying on. And because of that, I definitely think that that's going to hit pressure on these kinds of systems for reform that wasn't there before. And especially for spending scarce assets or swapping in and out of them, having to report capital gains on every single realization, every single spend or otherwise sale or purchase, etc., is an insane paperwork burden. And I think that a de minimis exemption of some kind is a bare minimum, where maybe if it's like under $600 worth, you don't even have to report it. It's not even you have to pay on it, so you don't have to report it. That's the big thing. I think we're probably going to see something like that at a bare minimum, but hopefully more capital gains reform.
Well,
the whole made in the U.S. thing is interesting. I have to say, like, as of today, I just went to CoinGecko and successfully got Dash on the Made in America tag, because its founders are, even though it's completely decentralized, its founders were from Arizona. It's just funny how that's a thing where now people are saying, well, we're made in America too. Please give us more favorable tax treatment.
Yeah, that's awesome, Joel. Yeah. And I think what Trump is talking about is zero tax on crypto. So there wouldn't be any capital gain or anything. Yeah, I hope so. We'll see. That would be amazing. And I was just looking on Twitter as we were talking. Trump confronts Bank of CEO at Davos over conservative accounts. apparently he said it right to his face, like, why are you shutting people down? Which is kind of along the same lines of what we were talking about, where, like, why are you debanking people, which we've seen happen quite a bit. So awesome. Well, thank you, Joel. Anyone else want to hop on? I don't see any. I have everyone speaking that wants to speak. So we could wrap up soon, unless you wanted to speak, Akadex or
Yeah,
Johnny or
hi everyone. Just want to speak about the AI token. I believe AI token should do well in 2025. Then because I think with the wave of Trump trying to pulling the to obtain the crypto, so I believe many countries will want to adopt crypto and make use of cryptocurrency in full, and this will brings a lot of volume to cryptocurrency. So
Mhm.
I believe this year should be very massive and even better than let's say.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the bankers, I read about the stable coin. So and it's coming with some value. So I don't really understand about it much.
Yeah, it's a big, stablecoins are a big area. It's one of the areas you just sort of got to dive in and learn a few of what are the differences and things like that. So our YouTube is at BankXIO, and so I have videos where I talk through different areas of the system. But there's a master class there at one of the playlists, and it's about an hour, 20 minutes. I talk about different stable coins, the evolution of the industry, how BankX is doing it, and I'm sure the standard has some similar things that you could learn about how they work and all of that. So but that'd be a great place to start, I think. So, but yeah, appreciate the comments. Anybody else want to pop on? And whether it's AI, maybe trading. We haven't talked much about trading the crypto market in 2025. I'm looking at a lot of the AI stuff like BitTensor, Tau, Desync, AI16Z, PAL, Virtual, Redeploy, I think is a RAI, RAI. Those are some of the. I don't own any of these, and I'm not recommending them, but it's just in my trading view watch list where I want to see what's happening with those. But if there's anybody that'd like to talk about any more comments on AI or crypto stablecoins, the trading part hasn't been touched on, but any subjects open on what's going on here, since we're such in a historic time for crypto and Trump being in office. Anybody else like to talk? All right. Well, I appreciate everyone joining. I think we'll do this again, and we will call it Unburdened by what has been. I think that's and then we can maybe next time, because there was so much going on, I put a bunch of different topics that we could discuss, so we could narrow that down, or if you guys like just to have it this way. But I appreciate everyone joining in. The recording will be on our other socials if you want to come back and see it. Of course, it was recorded on X. All right, everyone. Thanks very much. Talk with you on the next one.